Welcome to Only Murders in My Mind. Hello everyone, Thursday 5pm and I'm here with Mike Jackson.
Sorry, I just thought I'd have that pregnant pause. I don't know why. I just thought it might sound good, you know. Hello, Carol.
And Liz Hedgecock.
Hello.
So, it's three amigos and we're going to be chatting about Sherlock on TV. And there are quite a few different types of Sherlock on TV.
Yeah. I don't know if you noticed the three amigos there, but a previous programme, Carol was practicing her French, and I think today sounds a bit like Spanish coming out, you know, with the three amigos. A bit of Mexican. Yeah.
Entonces.
Portuguese. I used to know a little bit of Portuguese.
Oh, right.
When I was in Brazil. Yeah, went to Brazil once. Journey of a lifetime. And I learnt how to ask for the next drink in Portuguese. Again, I can't remember because...
Does it sound like just fill it up again?
Yeah.
No,
I had this lovely waitress and she used to come along and their national drinks called some... This is in Rio, caipirinha, which is a bit like a mojito. And it's white rum, cane sugar... and I'm trying to think what they top it up with. Delicious. And she'd just come up to me, and at first I was going, can I have another one? And she'd go, just the one? And I go, yes, thank you. And she'd come back, and when she got to know me, she just came up, picked my glass up and go, just the one? And I'd just nod at her and she'd come back with another drink. That was lovely.
Funny,
Amazed you made it home in one piece.
It's just made me think of drinking stories then.
Indeed.
But I remember when I was young, when I was first married, I'm going back a long time, 50 plus years now.
Wow.
There's no need to see wow like that, Liz.
Sorry. 52 for me and David this year.
52. 54.
Wow. Oh, you're beating us.
Sorry, but I haven't even been alive that long.
Anyway,
some people might wonder how come I still am, but you know.
My wife and I, at the time, and good friends of ours, we used to go to this local pub. And back in those days, you might not believe this, back in those days, pubs around here used to have a bell. If you went, they weren't big rooms, they used to have lots of little rooms.
The snug.
And they used to have a series of bells on the wall. So if you wanted another drink, you didn't go to the bar, you pressed the bell. And somebody came to you. And we used to go to this local pub on a Saturday night. And there was a lady there called Fran. And she'd come in and take an order. And then by something like 9:30, 10 o'clock, the pub was absolutely heaving. And she would come in, she had nothing written down, and she'd just go to each table. Same again. She remembered every single order from every single table. It was a joy to watch.
I don't know how people do that. I really don't.
No.
You know.
Yeah.
I used to do nights when I was trained to be a nurse, and they used to go around and they'd go, Carol, do the drinks. And there'd be Ovaltine, Horlicks, hot chocolate, warm milk, all those sorts. Nobody ever got the right drink. And the men were great about it. They'd just go, have you got the Horlick? Yeah, give me the Ovaltine behind me back. But the women were going, Carol, this isn't what I ordered. So, yes, I can't carry things like that round in my head, I'm afraid.
I hate to say it, I don't think we said hello to Liz. I think we just ignored her because we got carried into that drinking.
You know, it's all right. Just carry on without me. I don't mind.
Carol, we're going to carry on with that.
Liz.
The effrontery.
Hello,
Liz.
Hello. Yeah, all right, you can stop it now.
Okay.
So, Sherlock on TV. I know we come back to Sherlock and Agatha and people, but we love them.
Sherlock's iconic.
Oh,
I must admit, I was watching something earlier for research, and I was watching the main character thinking, he's like a diet Sherlock Holmes, this guy. And he's a frame of reference.
Yeah.
He just is.
Yeah. It's like a lot of, talking about a reference, a lot of the things we talk about in our house have been mentioned on The Simpsons.
Such as?
Historic things and, Shakespearean things. And, you go, oh, I remember that. That happened on The Simpsons. It's actually based on history, that sort of thing. But, yeah. Sorry, that's our reference point. It's bad, isn't it?
I didn't realise, again, we actually, I know you're going to find this hard to believe, listeners, but we actually research the topics that we're going to talk about.
We do.
To some extent.
To
in
some
my
extent,
case.
yes. But apparently Sherlock Holmes is the most portrayed fictional character on screen.
Oh, I can believe that.
According to the Guinness Book of Records, World Records, he's been portrayed by over 250 actors in film and TV.
Well, he just never goes out of fashion,
Yeah.
does he?
Yeah. But 250 different actors.
That's some going.
A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you see, that in the two series that I'm thinking about, which was Sherlock with Benedict Cumberbatch and Elementary, which was Tommy... I want to say Tommy Lee Cooper. Is that
No. Johnny Lee Miller.
That's it. Who's Tommy Lee Cooper?
Well, I think you're probably thinking of Tommy Lee Jones.
With
Tommy Cooper, which is really interesting.
Just like that. That's Tommy Cooper, isn't it?
Oh dear.
Just like that.
Oh, Johnny Lee Miller with affairs, looking, very cool with all his tats.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But
And the fairs.
But obviously, there's loads more. Yeah, but they were upgraded to being in modern times, which I think caught a younger generation who were into the old series and things like that. That we
I think
look back
one of
on.
the things that they said about that series was they wanted Sherlock to be modern because I think the thing is, like, sometimes you watch it or, and you think it's all like hansom cabs and top hats and deerstalkers and mist and, fog and, big pipes and all that stuff. But there's some quite modern stuff in it as well because he's always making discoveries, doing experiments and stuff like the underground.
Yes.
Is in it.
Yeah.
And in one of the later stories, Watson is sort of undercover as Holmes's chauffeur.
Ah, right.
And you would never expect Watson to be driving a car in a million years, would you? But he does. And this is in the original books. So
I think that's the fascinating thing with it. There is so much scope for adaptation, isn't there? The way Cumberbatch brought it up to date with Sherlock.
Yeah.
Apparently, Cumberbatch was playing Sherlock in 2011. And Johnny Lee Miller,
thank you,
was playing Sherlock in Elementary.
Yeah.
And at the same time, they were both playing Frankenstein at National Theatre.
Oh yeah, they were swapping, weren't they? Yeah.
Well, that's it's like osmosis, isn't it? I know what I liked when I first started watching Sherlock on the British BBC was the fact that Dr. Watson had been injured in Afghanistan and the original Watson had been fighting in Afghanistan, hadn't he, in the original series. And of course, the original Dr. Watson kept a diary, whereas the modern one kept a blog, wasn't it? Was it a blog?
Yeah, it's a blog.
Yes,
yeah.
The fact that they used to get in black cabs instead of the hansom cabs, and of course Sherlock was always on his phone googling
Instead
things
of sending
and
wires. He was always texting.
He was always texting and looking things up.
Did you know the texting? Apparently, something else I found. I didn't realise that Stephen Moffat was a co-creator of Sherlock.
Yes.
Yep.
I always think of Stephen Moffat as
Doctor
Who man.
Yeah.
And apparently he was inspired by the text messaging because he knew that in the original one it was telegrams and newspaper ads that he used a lot of. And as texting was the modern way of communicating, that was one of the reasons why he brought the texting into that version of Sherlock, which is very cleverly done on the screen.
Yeah, and there are all these little tiny hints at the original books.
Yes.
Yeah.
You just got to watch for them, you know.
And instead of cracking codes like, with the Adventure of the Dancing Men, for example, or like other things, it's passwords they've got to crack. Like in A Study in Pink, and they've got to get into that woman's phone. And then there's the other one where it's again another thing with the phone. It's I am locked, and he's got to try and work out what.
That's when he's racing around trying to.
And there's one where there's a safe, and he's got to get into it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. No, it was all very cleverly done. And the first one, as I say, the first one in the first series, A Study in Pink, which was from A Study in Scarlet.
Yeah.
That was that was very popular with when I looked at the viewing figures. It wasn't the highest, but apparently it was very popular because the ones that followed that, The Blind Banker and The Great Game, were written for the show. But then they went back to look at the original stories from Conan Doyle and adapted them in the next series, which was Scandal in Belgravia.
Yes.
And then because there was three in each series.
Yeah.
The Hounds of the Baskervilles, and then the third one in that series was the Rickenback Falls. The boot was actually the final solution, wasn't it? No, the final problem.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And they found that they were very, very much more successful than writing an episode out of their imagination, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. No, I'd agree, because I remember watching the pilot and we both loved it.
Yeah.
The next night, I think we were like, oh, what should we do? Should we watch that show? Yeah, we'll watch that show. And we watched it like literally, 2 nights running because we enjoyed it so much.
Yeah, yeah.
The second one, I kind of went, oh.
Exactly, yeah.
And the third one, I was like, oh, yeah, now the series is over. So, yeah.
So what's next, sort of thing?
Yeah, but no, I thought the second series was great. And I mean, personally, I think after that, there was the comeback episode, which I thought was great.
That was the Christmas episode, Many Happy Returns.
Yes. And
Loved
then
it.
after that, it went a bit odd.
It did.
Yes.
And I think myself and John both thought it had jumped the shark at that point.
Oh, yeah.
Do you not find... Sorry to interrupt, but do you not find...
You're not.
No, I'm not. I was just being polite. I'm a great Doctor Who fan.
Yes, I am as well.
I sometimes find the stories... Stephen Moffat, I think, is great. But some of his stories, at times you think, I'm actually losing the plot a little bit here.
Yes.
And I wonder if it was his influence in Sherlock that made it go maybe just that too experimental.
I think it might have been. I think it might. But I don't know what you think, John. Moffat's interpretation.
I'll keep it short. Stephen Moffat is great when someone else is in charge of the script editing. When he's the script editor, not so much, because he lets him kind of like it starts getting ridiculous. Yeah. So he needs someone else to like come in and say, no, don't do that, do this.
He needs a gatekeeper.
He needs reining in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he's got some great ideas.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the thing. It felt like towards the end of the series, it went from sensation to sensation. It's like, well, now they're running off after this, but what about all this other stuff that happened? They seem to have just completely abandoned that.
Yeah, what were you going to say then?
I was just going to say...
Sorry.
Like, before he became script editor on Doctor Who, like, his episodes, like, before then, were, like, some of the best.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, like, when we found out that he was taking over script editor, a lot of people were like, yay! Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I know that one, Many Happy Returns, was one of my favourites because there was all this theories going about, wasn't there?
Oh, that was just fab.
How he'd survived and all the rest of it. And it was when every time he met somebody that he knew, they'd give him a thump because they thought he was dead.
Yeah, and he keeps trying to get Watson's attention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Poor Watson.
Yeah.
Going back and talking, Jeremy Brett. Do you remember Jeremy
Yes.
Brett?
Oh, yeah. Yes. Fixture of my childhood.
Yeah. Apparently, the role affected his health. Apparently, it was 1980s on Granada TV.
That sounds right.
But he threw himself into it so fully that it affected his mental and physical health. He kept detailed Holmes journals and stayed in character between takes.
Oh, that must have been grim. But some people do that. They do.
They do. But there's not much of a dividing line between taking it very seriously.
But from what I understand, he had a bit of a problem with depression anyway. So.
Bit of a black dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know there was once a Soviet version?
A Soviet version?
I can believe that.
1979 to 1986, starring Vasily Livanov as Holmes. Much revered in Russia, and apparently this chap was even awarded an MBE by the Queen in 2006 for his portrayal of Holmes.
We never knew that, did we?
No, we should see if we can watch some of it, if we can find it.
The subtitles will be fine.
Yeah. So what do you think about the Jeremy Brett Holmes, everybody? Because, I mean, I grew up with those two on the telly.
I think it was a good portrayal, accurately done.
Yes.
But I think when Cumberbatch came in with Sherlock in the modern day, it just took it to a different level. To an extent you can't compare.
No.
Because they're two different sorts of adaptations.
Yeah. I'm trying to imagine what my parents would have made of, something more like Cumberbatch Holmes, and I think it would have been like, well, of course he can't text. He's Victorian. They don't have them,
that would have happened. But I mean, it comes over both in the Sherlock Holmes, the Sherlock, and the Elementary. That the character is a sociopath. He does not like people. You know,
and that's very much Conan Doyle's take on him.
Yeah,
really.
He doesn't like people. He thinks everybody's stupid. Because the Elementary, which I've watched 3 times, if you've watched it, haven't you?
I think I've seen all the first series and some of the second, and I think then they took it off, so I couldn't find it anymore.
No, I've watched the whole. I mean, I've got it on CD.
I did really enjoy it.
Watched the whole thing 3 times up to now, and again, it was. I mean, obviously, it was made for the American market because it's based in New York.
Yeah,
but the clever switch of the Doctor Watson is a female. That was very cleverly done, and it was again. There's not
Lucy Liu, isn't it?
She's brilliant in it.
She's great.
And the basis of that was Holmes basically had a breakdown in this country because of he lost the love of his life, and he went on to hard drugs, and his dad paid him to go through rehab, and he's living in a brownstone that his dad owns in New York, and Watson is his dry companion. And then it develops from there. But again, all the way through, there are nods to the Conan Doyle stories, you know, and again, some of the twists in are absolutely, I think that is my favourite. Elementary is my favourite, and I love Sherlock, but Elementary was my favourite.
Talking about women, did you know that in 2018 there was a programme in Japan, a Japanese series called Miss Sherlock?
I did know that. Where
Holmes and Watson were both played by women.
No, but I've watched the one where the Sherlock Holmes' sister. There was a couple of films.
Enola Holmes.
Enola Holmes.
Yes, I like them.
I think they're cool.
Yeah, I like them.
I'm looking forward to Enola Holmes 3.
Oh, is there going to be one?
There is going to be one,
because I did enjoy them, I must admit.
Yes.
Last time, at the end of the last one, she was learning, or she had an academy where they were all learning self-defence. The ladies were all learning self-defence sort of thing.
Taking us back to Stephen Moffat, did you know that he once considered doing a Doctor Who and a Sherlock crossover?
Oh, I'd like that.
That'd be interesting, wouldn't it?
But he decided it would probably break the internet and didn't want to ruin either world's integrity.
I mean,
it probably would have been a step too far.
I think the thing is, if it came off, it would be brilliant, but you'd be so likely to annoy either the Whovians or the Sherlockians, or both.
Yeah, but I could see, because one or two of the Doctor Who's in the past you could liken to the characters of Sherlock. I'm just trying to think where what's going on around them doesn't really matter. You know, they're just focused on the emergency at the time and sort of dismiss people.
You know, I have a great love of AI. I don't know if I've ever mentioned that before.
No. I'm aware, yes.
Apparently, in 1999, the US TV made a film about Sherlock Holmes in the 22nd century. Ooh. Holmes is cloned in the future to help fight crime.
Of course.
And Moriarty is cloned as well.
Oh, no. Who did that?
It's a kid's cartoon. But it sounds like my cup of tea, that. And did you know that a Holmes actor once played Watson as well? Apparently, Reginald Owen played Dr. Watson in Sherlock Holmes in 1932, then played Holmes in A Study of Scarlet in 1933. He's one of the rare actors to have
done both. I mean, there's some films. They're not that old, but they're not that modern. But they're quite good. There's like quite a lot of slow mo. I can't remember.
The Robert Downey Jr. ones?
Yeah, I like them.
Oh, God. I tried
is it
one.
2?
I think so, yeah. I tried one and I was about 10 minutes in and I was just like, Sherlock Holmes would never do this.
No, you're probably right.
I can't cope with this.
Yeah, no, you're probably right. But I mean, Liz, you write Sherlock Holmes books, don't you?
I do, yes.
Would you like to tell us a little bit about those?
Oh, God. Put me on the spot, why don't you? I've got 3 separate Sherlock series.
Of course.
I know. I mean, what was I thinking? But I suppose that's the thing with Sherlock Holmes. You can do it you can play it so many different ways with the character.
I think one of the clever things you've done, Liz, is that you've taken the characters like Mrs.
Hudson,
Watson.
and she becomes the main character in
thank you.
some of your books. And I think I was intrigued the first time I read one of Liz's Sherlock books. I didn't realise that because it's out of copyright, you have that opportunity to do things like taking Mrs. Hudson. So you still keep the same era, the same setting, the same house, but you just turn the story on its head, don't you? And you're not. There are no. Presumably, there won't be. Otherwise, you wouldn't have done it. There aren't any copyright issues, are there?
No, I checked very carefully.
I guessed you would.
Before I did, yes. Yeah, so no, they've. I think everything now is out of copyright, or very nearly so. I mean, there might be some of the very, very last, but no, I don't think. I think the last one was something like 1928. So I think we're good even in the UK. Because I was looking up something around Agatha Christie.
Yeah.
And all of her stuff is still in copyright until 2046, I think it is.
Will be here then.
Is that because there might be an Agatha Christie society or whatever? That
no, I think it's because she lived until, the 70s?
Of course.
Yes, she did.
And you don't think that, do you? Because you always think of her being, very golden age. And also because, Poirot and Miss Marple don't really change that much.
No.
So
she's protected for that length of time.
That said, her estate are getting other writers to do Agatha Christie books.
Yes.
So Sophie Hannah has done, I think, a few Hercule Poirots, and is it Lucy Foley? I think she's doing a new Marple book.
Oh, right.
So,
how do you think they'll end up being films or series or something like that?
I wouldn't be surprised.
No,
I imagine if the books do well, which they probably will because people love Agatha Christie, and if the estate approve, which I'm guessing they will because it'll make them money, then I imagine there would be.
More to come.
And if you want to find more about Liz's Sherlock Holmes books and Mrs. Hudson books, then pop over to the blog at onlymurdersinmymind.wordpress.com, and there's links there to Liz's books and also to Liz's website.
Thank you
very
much.
they are very, very
That's
good
another
books.
£5 easily.
It must be. It must be. I better get into the Monopoly set quick. But back to Sherlock. What's you said your favourite adaptation is?
I like Elementary, yes. And I think the reason for that is because the Sherlock series on the Beeb did go slightly askew towards the end, because I've rewatched series 1 and series 2. How many series were there?
I think there were 4.
Yes, I think there were. Really enjoyed them, but never wanted to watch that last series again. I've never tried to watch that again because it annoyed me in a little bit.
Yeah. Well, it's also, they're quite long episodes, aren't they? About an hour and a half.
Yes.
It's like watching a film, basically. It's quite a commitment.
That's why there's only 3 in each series, because it's making
like
a film.
making 3 feature films.
Yeah,
isn't
for
it?
them. And there are no breaks or anything, so it's an hour and a half of constant acting and filming and everything.
Although they haven't said that there won't be any more. I think it's one of these things where if they could actually get everyone together at the same time, Benedict Cumberbatch is very busy, so is Martin Freeman. So.
Yeah.
Because I think he got The Hobbit, didn't he?
Did he?
Pretty much immediately afterwards.
Well,
that's 3 enormous films.
Yeah.
So.
And
was it Sherlock that pushed him to, not stardom? I'm sure he was doing things before that, but
it was in The Office, wasn't he?
Yes, but I think it certainly put him to the forefront of.
He was in the series of Fargo that I was talking about in the last episode. Yeah, he was the car salesman in the series of Fargo.
So he's moved on.
He's
a busy lad.
He's done a lot of stuff, hasn't he?
He's versatile.
But Cumberbatch did some. I'm just trying to think now. Was it?
We did the Doctor Strange
superhero.
movies.
Yeah, he was a superhero as well. Yeah, so he was. I quite enjoyed that. Was he in the series has gone now.
I think you're right though, Carol. He was
Journey.
No, he was definitely in that one. Yeah. No, you're right.
Star Trek.
Was it?
Was it? I don't know.
Yeah, he was.
Yes, he was.
Right.
There you go. Oh, and he was the dragon in The Hobbit.
Yes, he
The
was.
voice of
Yes.
Smaug.
Oh, yes.
Smaug.
There is no end. There was no end to his talents, but yeah, he's a very popular actor. And it's funny because I was watching a series of Spooks. I've watched it right from the beginning.
I like Spooks.
I might write one about MI5.
Oh, really?
Yeah, or incorporate MI5 into one of my books.
I'm part way through a novelette about MI13.
Is there one?
There is now.
And he was in. He had a bit part in one of the early Spooks, and he looked so young.
We all look so young, I suppose.
But it's funny because I'm watching this series, and people kept popping up that are now very famous, that were obviously, trying out for these little parts in this series at the time. So,
although it's worse when you're trying to watch something and you're like, who's that? I know them from somewhere.
Yeah.
Who can it?
Oh, we were like that with.
And then you get on your phone because you're looking them up. Of course it is. And then you've missed half of whatever you were watching.
Winstable Pearl, weren't we, for ages trying to figure out? Yeah, if in doubt, it must have been a musketeer.
It's funny, isn't it?
I'll remember that for life in general.
Yeah.
It's some of the discussions we had, especially in a previous episode when we got very gory and talking about murders. When you actually think of Sherlock Holmes, while there were murders in them, there weren't necessarily a lot in each book as such, were there? It was more the mystery, the detection part.
Yes.
Was more. I suppose a bit like Agatha Christie. There weren't. I mean, I know she did have more murders possibly than Conan Doyle had. I don't know, but the emphasis was very. I mean, people when they got murdered, either within Sherlock or with Agatha Christie, it was almost a side event.
They were presented with the murder.
They got poisoned. They got a knife in their back.
Yeah.
There was no gore as such. It was all about.
If you think about A Study in Scarlet versus A Study in Pink, in The Study in Scarlet, you've got the initial murder, which is what brings them to it. A Study in Pink, you've got lots and lots of people mysteriously dying, haven't you? So that feels like it's like ramped up a bit.
Yeah.
Is that because of the age that we live in? Is it because of the fact that
it's got to be more fast moving?
It's got to be more fun and more people nowadays when they're watching these murder mysteries on the telly, they expect at least 3 or 4 people to get murdered. It was a bit like where's that sleepy place in this country where people get Midsummer Murders.
The body count goes up.
Every other house has got a murderer in it. You wouldn't, would you?
No.
But I'm talking about suspense though. Hounds of the Baskerville for being on a bit, on the edge of your seat. The build up. I mean, when Watson's in the lab and things like that, it's all very nerve jangling. Sort of. Really sort of making you feel quite frightened, sort of behind a pillar thing, like I used to do with the Daleks. No, I never did that with the Daleks. I was too old to do it with the Daleks. But so the psychological build-up with a lot of the Sherlocks, rather than, as you say, seeing people being hacked to death or something like that.
Oh, and the other thing about Sherlock as opposed to the books is you get a lot more Moriarty, don't you?
Yes, you do.
Yes, you do. They come in both the series I've talked about, Elementary and Sherlock. They come in at quite an early stage and are this like hidden threat. I mean, in Elementary, it's sort of because it's quite a long series. There's quite a few series. It's like an ever-present threat, probably from about halfway till the end.
Am I right in thinking that in Sherlock, the Moriarty character is played, John might know this, by the same chap who plays the Master in Doctor Who?
John Sim.
Yeah. What's it?
No, it's Andrew Scott in BBC Sherlock.
Is it?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
You can just ignore, if you could just cut that bit out, John, please.
Yeah. Well, there's a complete twist in the Elementary one, which I'm not going to divulge, but
I know it.
really threw me. It was like, oh my goodness!
Oh, it was
didn't
great.
see that coming.
It was fab. We were like, ooh.
I wish we got financial gain for promoting all these things.
Yeah,
we don't, by the way.
Indeed.
Oh. So you will you write any more Sherlock type books, or do you think that's a done thing now?
Oh my!
You've got quite a lot of stuff going on, haven't you?
Oh, I've always got stuff going on. I've kind of learned to say never, really. Because with the books, the the Mrs. Hudson books being republished by DP, I've had quite a few people coming to me go, "Oh, there ain't going to be any more. I've read those 3, so now what?" And I mean, there's the other books I've written, but yeah, I've written a story for an anthology which will be coming out, I think, around May,
Right.
which is a Sherlock one, and it's very late Sherlock. So, you know, when he's an old bloke and allegedly retired, to the Sussex Downs.
Hmm.
There was a film, wasn't there, really, about that?
Mr. Holmes.
Mr. Holmes.
Yes, I saw that.
Oh, that was good.
Yeah.
And he, funny enough, because he was into his beekeeping.
Yes.
And one of the facts I found in here,
Oh, yeah.
that in elementary, Holmes has a bee named after Watson.
That's right.
Yeah.
He has
Which
his
is
hives.
a quirky sort of link to
Yes.
the books themselves.
He's got hives on his on the
roof.
on the roof of the building that he lives in. Yeah. Well, there's no. I keep thinking they should rent some of those floors out.
Yeah.
But I found that film excellent, Mr. Holmes.
Oh, I loved it. I read the book
really
and I was like, oh.
But the film
I think I'll
was-
watch the film
yeah.
again.
And the other film I think it was a film more so than it might have been a television production, was The Death of Poirot. When he died.
Yeah, that was
yes.
sad.
That
Yeah.
was again a very, very good story.
Yeah.
Very
Oh,
good
that's a
story.
cracking story.
It is,
Yes.
yeah. Because more or less in a wheelchair, isn't he? At that point,
Mm.
his mobility isn't very good at all. Yeah,
Yeah, but it was really interesting writing about an older Holmes and
Yes.
thinking about what he might be like and what he might be doing.
yeah.
So the fact that you've got your books with this publisher now, which is a fairly new thing for you, isn't it?
It is, yes.
And the fact that people are asking is either going to be more, could be an impetus to move down that
Possibly.
road.
Well, I did have an idea for a spin-off, so I just need to give it some thought,
Yeah.
basically.
Do they still want are the readers wanting more Mrs. Hudson?
I think they are wanting more Mrs. Hudson.
Hudson.
The thing is, I did have an idea for a further series, but that would be taking place later. But I'll have to see, how I feel with things. I kind of thought with the third book, okay, I've got it to a nice conclusion. And it comes in at a really good point in the canon because it's when they're just starting out.
Right.
So it basically concludes with the beginning of the Speckled Band, which chronologically is the earliest of the Sherlock stories.
Right.
And one of the, like in Sherlock Holmes, there's like throwaway references to cases that we never get to hear about.
Yeah.
Which, of course, Sherlock parodists absolutely love because then they can write about,
Yeah.
the giant rat of Sumatra and all of that. And one of the things that comes up in that one, I think, is Mrs. Farintosh's opal tiara.
Oh, I like that.
I nobbled that, obviously. I'm having that one. So, part of me thinks, well, I just got it nicely closed off, but I don't know. Maybe I go back in 10 years' time or 20 years' time.
Interesting thought that, though, isn't it? The fact that in the original Holmes stories, there are all these throwaway sentences about cases that they've solved but have never been a book or cases they might solve. So as an aspiring writer, there's lots of material there thinking, oh great, there's a title. Holmes has been talking about, do you remember that case, Watson, that we sorted out last year called Plonkety Plonk? And something like Liz can say, well, I'll take that case because that's the only reference to it, so I can do what I like with it.
It is, it's really good, as you say, for writers to have the characters formed, but then be able to go off and do their own story. Maybe, as you say, based on some little tidbit that's been in the original things.
Or to have their own idea of the characters.
Yeah.
And then, go from there with a framework. I mean, you've got 221B, you've got, Lestrade, you've got the whole setup there, and you can kind of take that and run with it almost.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the other thing is, in the world of kind of, Sherlock pastiches, there's a whole, additional sort of etiquette or canon. Because when I was writing this story, I adhered to canon as much as I could Sherlock, the original Sherlock stories. And, actually I had to do some edits because it was like, well, yes, according to the canon that happened. But what we've actually decided as, as parodists and what, most people go for is that actually he did some other stuff as well. He didn't just retire, even though it says he did in the books, so you kind of have to respect all that additional body of Holmes' work.
And you when you know the character, you can't imagine him ever retiring completely.
No,
Ever.
I did find it very, very strange.
Yeah. He couldn't just turn off for his.
Well, and that certainly, to a certain extent, came out in Mr. Holmes.
Yeah.
You know, he had
Yes.
retired, but he hadn't. Sort of
No.
thing.
Yeah.
I've never really heard of or read, certainly never read, any books where Moriarty was the main character. He's always a strong character in Sherlock Holmes, isn't he? But I've never seen him as a character in
On
his
his
own
own.
right.
Yeah. I mean,
No,
I
I
suppose
haven't.
the thing is, he's more a suggestion of a character in the Conan Doyle thing than a, he's like
actual-
a bogeyman, really.
Yeah.
But you
Ghost.
do wonder why somebody's not taken. Well, I'm sure somebody has, but that
they
would seem
probably have.
a way to to take a character who is evil and make a whole book around him.
I always fancied, after watching Arthur, the series on the television, about King Arthur and what was the wizard?
Merlin.
Merlin, and it finished in modern day times, and the quote was that Arthur would rise again to lead the country out of dire straits. Somebody must have written books about that, because I always thought that'd make a fantastic story. Because it was witchcraft and the wizardry and all that sort of thing. Nothing to do with Harry. You're a wizard.
Harry was a real wizard.
He was a real-
He was.
But going back to the Moriarty thing, I think one of the really interesting things about BBC Sherlock was that there was a whole plot twist of, I'm just this struggling children's actor and you've turned me into a demon, Sherlock Holmes, saying that I'm this master criminal, and I'm really not, and you've been persecuting me.
Yeah.
And absolutely turning everything on its head.
And also,
And that moment where he just walks in, you're like, oh, it's him. And he's got a pint of milk and a loaf of bread. And you're like, oh, what's he going to do with them?
it's a bit like Sherlock as well. Holmes's brother plays a bigger part in that.
Yes.
Is he in the books at all?
A bit.
But
Mycroft.
Yeah.
Mycroft. That's what-
Yeah.
He's in Elementary a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in original Holmes books,
Not
no,
really.
not really.
No.
No.
As he's sort of he just puts another twist on.
But he
Yeah.
does,
Everything.
yes.
I think the thing is, maybe Conan Doyle's more interested in the puzzles, and
Yes.
also, the other thing is that, I think we sometimes forget with this stuff is that, the Sherlock Holmes stories are generally pretty small.
Yes.
So there's only so much you can get in, and you can't maybe have an amusing diversion about, what Mycroft's been up to this week or.
An interesting point, that, isn't it? Because you're right. I think Conan Doyle was very much about the detection part. He had two main characters, and all the other characters who came along were almost bit players, weren't they?
We know nothing about Lestrade, really.
No. As I say, he didn't
they just
develop.
went in and out.
Yeah.
Didn't they?
So I don't think I'm guessing now, but you almost get the impression he wasn't into fully developing other characters. He had his two main characters.
Yeah.
That's all he needed. And then the plot of his stories was about a mystery that had to be solved.
Yeah, and maybe it was partly the constraints of the form that wound him up with Sherlock Holmes, in that you've got to do this many thousand words and you've got to have them done by this time, and you've got to have these elements in it.
And when you think our other great writer that we always talk about, Agatha Christie, in some ways had the same constraints. You think whether it's Miss Marple or Poirot, there was a format to them.
Yes.
Wasn't there?
Yeah.
Well,
And she got fed up with writing. She certainly got fed up with writing Poirot books, didn't she?
Yes, she did. Yeah.
Yeah. Anything more to add?
Yeah, I'm going to put the kettle on.
Oh, what a good idea.
Excellent idea.
Enjoyed that. I can always talk about Sherlock. One of my favourites. But you can tell I need a cup of tea.
While Carol's struggling to get her voice back, can I just mention that for those of you that don't know, we've been on YouTube since we started. We've been on Spotify since we've started, but you can now find the podcast on Apple Podcasts as well. So there's no excuse for you not to listen to us. And we're also, hopefully by the time this one is aired, we will have some shorts on YouTube, on our YouTube channel. So,
as in short films, not actual shorts.
No,
not my shorts.
not eat my shorts, not those sorts.
So please have a look at those and let us know what you think. And we're hoping to develop those further.
Yeah, well, look, we're experimenting at the moment with different things just to keep it fresh. And your suggestions as long as they're not rude, would be much appreciated in
And
that
if they are
direction.
rude, we'll put you into a book.
Oh yeah, we can always write about you. That's the problem,
yes.
isn't it? Yeah. So until next time, thank you very much for listening to us. Hope you've enjoyed it, and bye from all of us. You have been listening to Only Murders in My Mind, a Random Thought production, produced by John Bissett. The music in Peril was composed and recorded by OM Studio Strings.